secondary schools. Last time we studied lesson 5, which was titled Great Inventions, right? Wait a minute. Okay. Yes. Okay, last time we knew what is meant by an invention. We read the text on page 52, which are taken from a reference book, as we said. We learned how to look for the meaning of words in a dictionary. We knew what is meant by a reference book and what is an encyclopedia. We checked the language box at the bottom of page 52, right? And learned that sometimes you have to mention the doer of an action, even if you are using. Sorry guys, I lost the connection. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. You know, after all, we're in Iraq and we know. I was saying that we checked the language box of page 52, right? And we learned that sometimes you have to mention the doer of an action, even if you are using the passive voice. Why? Because sometimes, in some cases, mentioning the doer of the action is so important and it is essential to complete the information you want to convey in the sentence. And we also did the related exercises. So today, we're gonna study lesson 6, and at the end, we're gonna have a quiz in passive voice. So today's lesson is titled Telephones, right? Yes. So we are to speak about telephones, one of our essential means of communications nowadays. Can you hear me now? I keep asking because of the bad internet service. Okay, now you can hear me well, I think. So today's lesson is about telephones. Pay attention, dear, that if you want to know something, you should look for the exact information about that thing. Do not settle for less. Thus, in this case, if we want to know what a telephone really means, we should look for this. I lost the connection. Can you hear me now? Come on. If you can hear me, please mention this in the chat section. I'm sorry for this interruption. I'm so sorry for this interruption. Okay, let's begin now. So, we said that today, inshallah, we are gonna study and read lesson 6 of unit 5 on page 53. We said that its title is telephones, and I was telling you that if you want to know the exact meaning of a word, you should look for it by yourself. I mean, you should not settle for less, as I said. Thus, in this case, if we want to know what a telephone really means, we should look for this information, for example, in an encyclopedia. So let's see how the word telephone is defined in, for example, Encyclopedia Britannica. A telephone is defined in Encyclopedia Britannica as what? As an instrument designed for the simultaneous transmission and reception of the human voice. The telephone, as a means of communication, is inexpensive, simple to operate, and offers its users an immediate personal type of communication that cannot be obtained through any other medium. As a result, it has become the most widely telecommunication device in the world. Billions of telephones are in use around the world. So, by reading this definition of the telephone, we learn the core points about the device. And this is how I want you to search for information that you need. You should always look for the information in its reliable sources. And what is meant by reliable? Can anyone tell me what is meant by reliable? It is an adjective. You say this is a reliable source, for example. No answer? Okay. Yes. In English, I want you to give me the meaning of this word in English. However, reliable, it means something that you can depend on. And as you said, something you trust. So I want to always depend and use reliable sources to get information from them. Now, let's get back to our subject. We now know and agree on the fact that a telephone is an essential device in our everyday life, right? Since its invention and until now. And here in this picture, you can see Alexander Bell, who invented the telephone in 1876. 76, sorry. So here in this picture, it is said that he was presenting his new invention, his new machine, which is the telephone. Right? You remember when we talked about Guglielmo Marconi yesterday, and we mentioned something about Bell's invention? So the question now is the telephone always useful? Okay. The connection is back. So the question is the telephone always useful? Or let me put it in other words. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the telephone? the advantages and disadvantages of the telephone. Now, what do we mean by advantages and disadvantages? Again, if you want to know the meaning of a word, you should do what? You should use a dictionary, right? So if we want to check these two words, we should use a okay, maybe there's a problem in. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, that's better. So, if we want, as we said, if we want to check the meaning of a word, we should always use a dictionary. And now, this is the Oxford Learner's Pocket Dictionary. And if we check the word advantage, we see that it means what? Something likely to bring success, especially in competition. Okay, the other meaning is benefit, profit of, right? So, yes, and the word disadvantage, if we want to check it, we should move to the words which starts with the word with the letter D. This case, it's on page 107, and a disadvantage means unfavorable condition. It's something which may mean loss. So we can say that the word advantage means benefit of something, the good feature of something. And the word disadvantage means the unfavorable feature of that thing or the damage of that thing. So now, before speaking about the advantages and the disadvantages of telephones, what kind of telephones do we have? We have what is called the mobile phones and the landline phones, right? Okay, oh, we have a newcomer. Yes, you already know what is meant by a mobile phone, right? Some people call it cell phone. So, if we again, now before that, pay attention to not pronounce it as mobile phone. It's mobile phone, okay? Some people, I think I lost the connection. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello, everyone. Okay. Okay, now, as we said, if we want to know the meaning or what something really is, we should look for this information in in, for example, in the references, like here, for example, we should check the Encyclopedia Britannica. I have downloaded a digitalized version of the Concise Encyclopedia Britannica. I will send you this PDF encyclopedia. You will like it, but it's okay. Now this is the other version, the one that I want to show you. And here is the copy of Britannica Concise Encyclopedia. Now, I want to know, if I want to know something, I can check it in this encyclopedia, which contains many information. I think I lost the connection again. Oh my God. That's great. Okay, we said if we want to know the meaning of something, we should check the references, the reference books. Like here, we can check this Encyclopedia Britannica for the word cell phone, for example, if we want to know what is meant by a cell phone. We already know a cell phone means a mobile phone, right? So let's check it. So if we check it, we will learn that the word cell phone, okay, the word cell in cell phone is derived from the word cellular, which refers to something related or consisting of cells, right? And I think that you know what is meant by a cell. So the encyclopedia defines the cell phone as a wireless telephone that permits telecommunication within a defined area that may include hundreds of square miles using radio waves in the 800 to 900 megahertz band. So here, as you see in this reference book, this encyclopedia, they give you the information, the most needed information about the cell phone, for example. Now, what is a landline? Unfortunately, you cannot find the exact definition of landline in this concise Britannica encyclopedia, this concise version of encyclopedia. But we can say that a landline is a type of or kind of telecommunication connection, which is basically about cables laid across land. And that's why it's called a landline. So now, since we know what is meant by a mobile phone and a landline phone, tell me what are the advantages and disadvantages of a landline, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of a mobile phone? What do you think? Do you have any ideas about the advantages and disadvantages of mobile phone and landline phone? Okay, the line says increase communication between people. Yes, this is, you're talking about the concept of telephones in general, right? Now I want to know the advantages and disadvantages of the landline, for example, or the mobile phone. Now, since we don't have much time, pay attention. We will lose the connection within 7 minutes. After, I want you to come back, okay? If we lose a connection. Now, according to an article which is published in the Saturday Evening Post newspaper, there are at least 7 advantages of a landline phone. First, it's about cost. The cost of a landline is not so much in comparison to a mobile phone. Second, it's about emergency because landline phone usually work even when you experience a power outage, for example. Third, it's about quality because it's believed that the sound quality on a landline phone is better than a cellular phone. Fourth, it's about simplicity because many people find it easier to enjoy using a landline phone without, you know, the difficulties of modern technology. And fifth, it's about security, even during unusual conditions. Sixth, it's about responsibility, because you cannot usually use a landline phone in other things instead of calling or receiving calls, which is in contrast to mobile phones. And last, it's about it's about, can you hear me? Yes. So, last thing, it's about the contract. They say that it's a contract free. I mean, you don't have to sign a contract with the service provider. However, these are the advantages of the landline phone in general. Now, what about the disadvantages of a landline phone? I suggest that the disadvantage of a landline phone, uh, the disadvantages are not too much in comparison to those of a mobile phone. But I think that the biggest disadvantage to landline phone is their immobility. I mean, they cannot be used in or near, they cannot be used anywhere but in or near a house or an office. Okay, now the what are the advantages and disadvantages of mobile phone? Since we don't have time, so this is going to be your homework. I want you to write about the advantages and disadvantages of a mobile phone. Okay? Now, maybe you think that what do all these things have to do with English? Remember, after all, that we are practicing language. Unfortunately, now you cannot speak English with me. Inshallah, next time we will conduct a lesson in which you can speak to me and practice speaking English. For the time being, you are practicing listening to English language. And since we are studying English and it's a language, so we should study everything, anything. We should speak about everything. So you can use English in the proper way. So now let's read the text on page 53 to look for the advantages and disadvantages of a landline and a mobile phone um, device. So, guys, we will lose the connection now. I will leave the meeting and get back again, okay? So, be there. See you in a minute. Okay, that's great. So, now let's have a look on page 53, Unit 5, Lesson 6. Here, Okay, it said, look at the pictures. Which of these kinds of telephones have you used? So I suppose that all of you have used mobile phones, but I don't think that any one of you have ever used a landline phone. So let's read these two texts. A landline phone sends and receives signals through a wire. The wire is called the landline. All landlines are connected, so you can phone people all over the world. Landline phones are less useful than mobile phones because they can only be used in one place. However, they are often more reliable. I will read it again. A landline phone sends and receives signals through a wire. The wire is called the landline. All landlines are connected, so you can phone people all over the world. Landline phones are less useful than mobile phones because they can only be used in one place. However, they are often more reliable. Let's read the other one. A mobile phone does not need a landline because it sends signals to a special mast using radio waves. The mast sends the radio waves to another phone. There are mobile phone masts in most places, so mobile phones can be used almost anywhere. Many mobile phones can also be used to take photographs, play music, and access the internet. These are called smartphones. I will read it again. A mobile phone does not need a landline because it sends signals to a special mast using radio waves. The mast sends the radio waves to another phone. There are mobile phone masts in most places, so mobile phones can be used almost anywhere. Many mobile phones can also be used to take photographs, play music, and access the internet. These are called smartphones. Now, it's easy, right? Now here you can find in these two texts, you can find, what do we call them, the advantages, the general advantages and disadvantages of mobile and landline phones. But your homework, concerning your homework, I want you to write about the advantages and disadvantages of mobile phones out of your own mind, okay? Depend on yourselves. Now let's move to the activity book on page 71. Are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, guys? You cannot hear me. Have I lost the connection? Okay. Which page? Page 71. It's there. I'm sharing it with you. I am sharing it with you. I don't know why don't you see it. Can you see it? Okay, so now on page 71, exercise A, on page 71, exercise A of lesson 6, we have this exercise. It says, Layla's mobile phone is not working properly. Some words are missing. Complete the message with the correct words from the box. Now, you know what is meant by properly? What do you mean by properly? Properly. This is an adverb, right? So what is meant by properly? What do we mean by properly? What do we mean by properly? Properly. What do we mean by properly? Come on, guys. Okay. I think that I can't hear you. Oh. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, that's great. So I asked about the meaning of the word properly. What is meant by properly? What is meant by properly? If I say, it's done properly. Yes, exactly. So Layla's mobile phone is not working properly. Some words are missing. Complete the message with the correct words from the box. Now, you have to read this and suppose that you cannot hear Layla when she speaks. Have I lost the connection? No. So let's complete. Okay, let's complete it. So first thing, I had a text from Tamara. So what should we put in the first blank? You know, you have to take the words, the missing words from this box, okay? Yes, so I had a text message from Tamara yesterday. She asked, where Layla the red dress she last Tuesday. The first one, where did Layla? Yes. Okay, the other one. Where did Layla buy? Yes, where did Layla buy the red dress? She last Tuesday. Okay, buy. First one here we said message. Did buy here. No, the dress she last Tuesday. What? Yes, she was wearing. So, where did Layla buy the red dress she was wearing last Tuesday? She likes it much, very much. She likes it very much. and she wants to buy a blue one. Yes, exactly. Why do we use one? Because we don't want to repeat the word dress. So I think it's easy, right? Now you know this. Let's quickly move to another, because we don't have time, to another exercise, which is on page what? Page 72. It says read the article on page 53 of the student's book, read the statements below, and write true for T for true and F for false, or DS if the article doesn't say. So I think some of you have missed the article that we read on page 53 in the student's book. Let's read it again. So it's about these two texts. Okay, I will read it quickly. Try to read it too in your student's book. A landline phone sends and receives signals through a wire. The wire is called a landline. All landlines are connected, so you can phone people all over the world. Landline phones are less useful than mobile phones because they can only be used in one place. However, they are often more reliable. A mobile phone does not need a landline because it sends signals to a special mast using radio waves. The mast sends the radio waves to another phone. There are mobile phones masts in most places, so mobile phones can be used almost anywhere. Many mobile phones can be used to take photographs, play music, and access the internet. These are called smartphones. Pay attention, dear, to the word phone. It may come as a noun and it means a phone. We know what a phone is. And it may come as a verb, like here in this sentence. So you can phone people. It means call people, right? So you can phone people. It means you can call people. Now let's get back to the activity book. Page 72. Let's do this exercise. Number 1. A landline sends and receives signals through radio waves. True or false? False. Why? Because we already know that a landline sends and receives signals through a wire, right? Number 2. Smartphones can access the internet. True or false? True, because we already know this. Number 3. Some mobile phones are water drop. Some mobile phones are waterproof. Sorry, water drop. نيجي بتأكد waterproof. Now you should say DS, because the exercise tells you put or write DS if the article doesn't say this, right? And the article doesn't mention anything about if a mobile phone is a waterproof or not, right? So here you should put DS in 3. Number 4. Number 4. Some landline phones, are often more reliable than mobile phones. Landline phones are often more reliable than mobile phones. True, false, or DS? True. Yes, exactly. Number 5, mobile phones can be used to phone people all over the world. Again, it's a true. And the last one, Landline phones can be used to take photographs. Landline, yes, it's false. Of course, it is false. So now, before ending this lesson and turning to the quiz, pay attention to the language box at the bottom of the page. It speaks about the present. It speaks about the present passive with can. You remember we studied this before, and we said how to form a sentence, the passive voice with can, right? So that's it for today. Sorry for the interruptions that's happened today, you know, because of the poor internet connection. If you have any question, please ask me. And now let's end this online lecture and move to Google Classroom. I will send you a PDF file as a quiz. You have until when? Until tomorrow? No, until 12 a.m. to complete the quiz. Okay? So that's it for today. See you next time. Goodbye.